And welcome back. Our final break of today is over, and our final session of today is about to begin. Now I would like to announce my dear friend and our dear coach and trainer and our friend. Who is he? He is an senior Agile project manager and Agile coach. It says senior, but if you meet him, he's in his heart, he's a junior and he's a lovely person. Miroslav Aničin, and Miroslav has led teams and departments with 50 plus members through Agile transformation at different organizations, telco, banks and other around the world. And he really likes to help teams and organizations become better. I had the opportunity to work with him. I had the opportunity to attend his classes, his trainings, and I really had the opportunity to learn a lot from him. He is the guy who has a list of specialties. He knows to do all kinds of things regarding helping organizations, consulting organizations be better. And when I think of him, I also think of a guy who has a list of certificates that he has in his bio. So he really loves to invest in his knowledge and then, as you can see, share that knowledge with other people. Today, as a cherry on top for today's session, he will be talking about true business agility comes from freedom, not frameworks. So he will be talking about intro to disciplined agile. So Miroslav, it's really nice to have you here, and welcome to Regional Scrum Gathering Belgrade 2021.
Thank you, my dear friend. Thank you for this great introduction. You just forgot, that I like cooking. So yeah, I'm on top of everything, I would like, to add that.
Yeah.
So Agile coach and cook.
Agile cook or?
Something like that. Okay, cool. Thanks again, for this great opportunity to being a part of this excellent gathering. And I would like in this short time, to share something with you about not so new approach in Agile, so-called discipline Agile. It became, famous when PMI, the Project Management Institute of America, announced the acquired actually the discipline Agile and added to its portfolio a couple of new certificates and everything else, so it's pretty much new to the Agile world, and that's the reason why I have decided, to share this with you. So let me start with sharing my screen and to jump into the presentation that will support this presentation actually to you. So the story about discipline Agile is quite big. So I have decided just to share some highlights and some basic facts about it. We will start, of course, with explanation about what is actually the discipline Agile. When I first heard about this discipline Agile, it's kind of I don't know how to say, but kind of blasphemic. I mean, discipline and Agile, it's kind of strange, but you will see what is the focus of this discipline Agile. It's something that all of us know actually by heart, and from our practice. That Agile is more a mindset than a prescriptive approach, but under the Agile umbrella, we have a lot of different approaches and methodologies and frameworks and everything else. But what about the business agility? How to scale this up? How to cover all different situations where we are not able, to apply, for example, Scrum. And I hope that you know what I'm talking about, because on a lot of occasions we can't implement some of those methodologies. So actually, the focus of the discipline Agile is to the business agility and to the find of real way of working to different teams and to the interaction among teams. So this is in short about the discipline Agile, but we will dig deeper into it. Furthermore, I would like to share with you about some values and benefits from applying the discipline Agile. And of course, we will dig deeper into that as well, just to have a closer look and to understand, better from some of those practices that discipline Agile gave us. And of course, we will end up with something that is so important, and that's actually how to be better in finding and evolving our way of working as a teams, as a structure. I mean, team of teams, and beyond that. Let us start with what is actually the discipline Agile. Actually, the discipline Agile is focused, as I said, to the business agility. It's not a framework, it's not a methodology, but it's rather a toolkit that offers us practitioners different approaches to the improvement, to actually how to organize teams and how to organize and improve and continuously improve their way of working. It is based on the theories of flow, lean, theory of constraints, and organizational development. This is what is very important for better understanding what the discipline Agile actually is. Some of the founders are actually here, and the Scott Ambler, the Mark Lyons, and the Al Shalloway, all of them are Agile practitioners. And the main idea that they came up with is actually started with the sentence that all of you practitioners, Agile practitioners, know very well. One size does not fit all, and that's what we all know. So why not to use different practices, different approaches, different tools and techniques that all of us applied using different methodologies, different approaches. For example, why not to use something from SAFe, from Scrum and Scale, from, I don't know, Scrum itself, from XP, different approaches, and to find out of all of these, our own way of working. This is the idea, and how to structure it. So discipline Agile is not prescriptive, not at all. It's definitely providing us a freedom, because the true agility comes from freedom, not from prescriptive framework. How can this approach actually help us? In a couple of words. So discipline Agile is a toolkit, as I said at the very beginning. So it is there to help us better optimizing our teams, and actually how to do that in order to understand and to understand the toolbox out of which we can find the different tools, approaches, and everything else, the best practices. But actually, I don't like that word so much, best practices, because they can mislead us. But I will show you what I'm talking about later on. We need to understand at the very beginning, what are our teams and what is the landscape of our organization. When we are talking about the teams in the organization, we are talking about something called the complex adaptive systems. So what is it? The complex means that, we can't predict their behavior inter-team and between teams. There are interdependencies. And even if we can predict, or can understand the behavior of a single team, that doesn't mean that we can predict the behavior of the organization as a whole. Different teams can have different approaches, different way of working. And of course, all of them are supposed to be self-organized and using the feedback from their way of working and from the other teams, way of working, they should improve. But also that is so complex. So how to scale this up? We are not talking, when you're talking about business agility, we are talking about the agility of the organization itself, and not of the only delivery team, single delivery team. So this is the first premise, understanding that the teams in the business organization that are supposed to build the business agility, they are complex adaptive systems. What is important to understand furthermore, that in order to achieve the true business agility, we need to, of course, extend the agility beyond the teams. For example, a lot of organizations that I use to help with achieving agility on different levels started with the premise that they will be able, to achieve that with sending out, some of their people, team members, to Scrum Master trainings, and after that they will organize, their teams, and we are going to be agile. Unfortunately, this thing is not working that way. So when we are talking about the business agility, all of the layers in the organization should be involved, actually seamlessly involved in this agility thing. Of course, there exist a lot of different approaches to do scaled agile. We can talk about the SAFe, we can talk about Scrum at scale. It's all of these approaches. All of these approaches are great and can work, and unfortunately can't work at some occasions. We need to find out actually the way of working. So the focus of the discipline agile is, as I said a couple of minutes ago, we can use all of these approaches. We can use under the discipline agile umbrella, for example, we can use SAFe, of course. We can use some of the premises from SAFe, for example, art as a construct. But furthermore, we need to find out, our own way of working. In order to do so, we need to start with some foundational stuff, foundational things. Of course, the principles I'll share you a couple of principles that we are starting with you. This is kind of psychological foundation of each and every agile framework. So more or less, the principles are same to all of the agile frameworks and approaches. Of course, the promises. This is kind of agreement among the participants about the way of working, about how are we going to achieve this true agility, and some guidelines. And this is the value, of course, in discipline agile. About these guidelines, I will share these guidelines later on. How to help us building this business agility. When I said that discipline agile is not prescriptive and it embraces actually different way of working, it can address, a couple of themes that among the organization that can work in complete agile way, that can apply Scrum, but some of the teams can work in a lean way. But of course, for some of the teams, for example, when you're doing some organization transformation in banks, some of their projects are supposed to be led by kind of waterfall approach. Why not? One size does not fit all, and you can't impose some specific prescriptive approach on all of your teams, on all of your I don't know how to say, different, teams on the different layers of the company. So discipline agile is there to find actually and to help finding the way of working for different teams and between them. Of course, roles also in discipline agile are supposed to be found, not prescriptive. We can start with what we have already. So we can start, for example, with the usual Scrum roles, but we can add why. On some of the projects, for example, you will need, support from legal department, from marketing department, support, the full support to the team of those roles. Why not to include them in amount of time that they are necessary to be there? Why not to include them as a part of the full-time part of the teams? And of course, the way of working. This is the foundational part, the foundational layer of the discipline agile. Furthermore, next layer, next blade is so-called discipline DevOps blade. In this blade, you will find a lot of different processes or value streams that deals with the disciplined agile delivery. So this is actually the delivery we are focused on when we are mentioning, agile or agile approaches of working agile in the teams. So this is the delivery teams. Of course, a lot of different processes in discipline agile deals with security, data management, etc. We haven't got, unfortunately, enough time to cover all of that. Furthermore, the layer in which, the blade in which discipline agile is also focused so much is the portfolio management layer, the product management layer, the program management layer, and all of these linked with the strategy, governance, business operations, etc. Because when we are willing to achieve the business agility, true business agility, we need to cover all of different aspects in the company. Of course, framed with the enterprise architecture, the people management, information technology, all of these stuff. So actually the discipline agile, this is the discipline agile sandbox, the part we are covering with this approach. When you're talking about the toolkit itself and what the discipline agile offers, it is there to accelerate actually this value delivery in these scaled agile situations. How to do it. The first premise with which discipline agile starts is actually that one way of working. Finding one way of working for a single team doesn't mean that it will be enough and it will be sufficient, for all of the teams. So we need to address teams using and considering different factors. These are some of the factors that discipline agile starts with. For example, team size, geographic distribution, organizational distribution, compliance, technical complexity, domain complexity. This is something that we need to have in mind, and we are acting and finding the way of working for those teams depending on these different factors as for the starting point. Furthermore, we are improving that. You will see how. So actually, what is the main premise here? Teams should be allowed to choose and evolve their way of working, their own way of working, to meet their unique situation, their unique maturity level, context, because context counts, and everything else. There exist a lot of different factors. Let's take a closer look about that. When we're talking about this foundational part, of course, the main thing underneath is the mindset. We started with that actually the agile is mindset. That of course, in discipline agile, we need to cover that, with this mindset part. Of course, the main prerequisite for everything are people. In all methodologies, I would say after more than 30 years now spent in different projects, working with different teams on different technologies, the only truth I came up with is that people do projects with people, not with methodologies. Actually, so people focus, respect to people. This is what counts. So roles, responsibilities, the team structures, how to follow these, and how to employing this, finding how to find a way of working. This is what counts. Of course, the practices. This is the way of working. And Discipline Agile Toolkit, you will see how offers us a goal diagrams and how to achieve some of those goals. For example, how to improve the way we are doing the discovery part. How to improve the way when we are having issue with the teams, with the people, with their interaction, and all of these. We will cover that in a couple of minutes. And of course, the flow, because it is based on the lean flow and organizational principles. The main focus is on the flow, value streams and everything else. about the discipline agile mindset, just in a couple of words. It is covered with the principles, promises, guidelines. Actually, the philosophical part that we need to be focused on customers and everything else. Unfortunately, as I said, we haven't got enough time for that. But just to know, this is so important. It goes up to the guidelines that will support us in finding our way of working. When we're talking about the people, I mentioned when we, for example, on some of the agile themes in the organization, not specifically, teams in the delivery part, but on some levels, so within the organization, if we have necessity for, including, for example, architecture owner or some other domain expert, or perhaps chief financial officer, portfolio manager, why not? Of course, we need to follow some agile principles, but we can find our way of working in that, supported with some parts of the toolbox that we call the discipline agile. This is just in short. I will cover this with a simple example. And of course, the flow. When we're talking about the flow, in discipline agile, I mentioned that twice, but it's so important that I need to repeat it. So one size does not fit all. So in discipline agile, we can choose among agile, project lifecycle, continuous delivery agile, lean, continuous delivery lean, exploratory, and the program. We can choose any of those, and using some of those, we can improve. For example, if we choose agile cycle, we are talking about extended Scrum to enterprise cycle. Why extended? Because in Scrum, you're focused on this part, constructional part, mainly. But what about the inceptional part? How to convert the initiative from the strategy, from the portfolio, how to deal with that, how to envision the product itself, how to align this with the enterprise architecture, how to do properly the discovery phase and everything else. So a lot of things that are included, actually in this extended Scrum life cycle. So this is only one of the life cycles of the discipline agile that can be chosen. All of the teams within the organization can choose its own to start with, and of course to continuously improve, which is so important for the discipline agile. This is just an example of for example, agile life cycle. What is important? All of these life cycles are actually consisting of three parts: the inception, the construction, and transition. All of these parts are important for achieving the business agility. The inceptional part I mentioned about initiating the endeavor, understanding and sharing the stakeholder vision, aligning it with the enterprise architecture. So we have necessity of having the enterprise architecture and everything else. The construction phase is actually about delivery, but we need to be focused also on the transitional phase. How to move the product into the operations, how to achieve the real value that we are supposed to achieve, with this product. So discipline agile is not focused only until this part, but it's focused on real achieving the business value, so to achieve the business agility. This is the focus. Within the discipline agile toolkit, you can file something called DA Flex Lifecycle. This is actually the value stream, and there exists a great certification in PMI value stream consultant. The value stream, discipline agile value stream consultant is all about leading organization to achieve the business agility using this framework. So it's not prescribing, some specific approach. You can utilize, for example, SAFe, as I mentioned, within this approach, and using this toolkit we are calling the discipline agile. And of course, the practices. We talked about people, different roles, responsibilities, the agile mindset, and flows itself. And okay, we have chosen our way of working, and so we need to start applying it. We need to start doing it. Perhaps we are all already applying, for example, Scrum within the organization, but we do want to improve with the help of, for example, toolkits such as this. So this is one of the main parts of the discipline Agile. This is actually kind of guidelines that are supposed to help us improving, help us continuously improve with some parts of this toolbox. So these are goals that we do want to achieve at these different stages of some of those respective flows. Within the inception, we can choose, okay, how to better form the team. Okay, we have recognized some issues with forming a team, or identifying architecture strategy, how to help us improving that. Or some of those goals, all of those goals are there collected from practice and by practitioners that help over time, building this toolbox. For example, we had some issue with exploring the scope, with understanding how our clients actually use our product, our features from the product, and how to improve that, how to improve the feedback from them, for example. When we are digging deeper into this toolbox, we are faced with a lot of different approaches that we can better utilize the explore scope. For example, we can we are supposed to understand how better to explore the usage, and these are the options. For each and every option from this toolbox, we have a lot of explanations, when to use, what are the trade-offs, how to use, how to achieve. And this is the toolbox. We have a lot of different situations that are covered, as I said, by different practitioners, and that are put together in something that we are calling the discipline Agile. For example, we have decided using that. This is the example of the goal people management. So, for example, how to help us build Agile culture will be in position, to choose some of the options and to better explore some of the options, to decide with the team together how to improve based on these suggestions and based on our situation. With this, we can start with defining our way of working and with improving it over the time. When we are talking about the evolving and being better, this continuous improvement, I don't know your experience, from the practice, but my experience is exactly what this chart will show. I hope that many of you have been able, to already see this so-called J curve. It is actually the curve showing the performance after applying some improvement. In short, immediately after applying any improvement, the performance goes down, effectiveness goes down, and usually the motivation fell down. Over time, if we persist in improving what we have improved, the things get better eventually. But after some time, we hit the limits of the prescriptive framework. What I'm talking about. When we are trying to improve Scrum, we are improving our way of working, but within the constraints. We need to have, the sprints of a limited time frame up to 4 weeks, usually 2 weeks. We are starting with a sprint planning session, etc., etc. I don't want to repeat what you already know, but we are improving that. And this is so called, one kind of one step of learning from the feedback. Actually, the double step is also the challenging the approach we are taking. Why not to challenge, the Scrum itself, this framework? Perhaps we can add something more. It's been shown over the time, that applying Agile methods, we can achieve and be more productive than an average with this continuous improvement up to 7 to 12%. Agile scaling frameworks, we are hitting at 3 to 5%. How to continuously improve? Let us get back, to understand better how to help in this, to improve actually this actually, and to achieve this double loop learning, not single loop learning, as I said. We started with identifying problem, where furthermore identifying potential techniques, try these techniques and assess effectiveness. But some experiment learning, some experiments fail, of course. Okay, fail fast is some of the good approaches, but
Miroslav, you're muted.
Sorry, I clicked on the wrong button.
Wrong button.
My bad. Do not play with these buttons. Okay, so why not to get the information earlier? Failing fast is great, but if we can improve this step, at this step, if someone can help us at this step, we can improve faster. Okay, we can do that if we have, for example, access to some experienced Agile coach, but that's not possible at all time. And that's definitely expensive. But we can improve at this step using this toolkit called Discipline Agile. And it's called actually the guided continuous improvement. Why guided? Of course, all of us are applying the continuous improvement, but if we have some potential answers and choices at this step, we can be better much faster. How this looks like, actually, this is the continuous improvement curve, but this is the guided continuous improvement curve. And this is actually one of the focuses of the Discipline Agile, to achieve the agility and, of course, the business agility as soon as possible. Because with this presentation, I have covered only one of the aspects of the Discipline Agile, finding the way of working, what are the main factors about that, and how to improve faster by utilizing this guided continuous improvement approach and using this toolbox. So this is something important. We should start where we are. We should have the respect to what we already achieved, and of course, the respect to the people. And we need to do the best using everything what we know and from the perspective we are possessing. So I will share with you, of course, I will send to my friends this presentation. You will be able, to see, to have some links, to some valuable reads and to some valuable materials. And but in any case, if you need some more information, I'm more than happy to share with you. Unfortunately, this time frame is so short to share a lot of these exciting things about the Discipline Agile, but I hope that I managed to just to share some basics with you. So what is important to understand? This Discipline Agile is not a framework, not a methodology, it's a toolkit. Its focus is on achieving the business agility. It's not another scaled framework. Within the Discipline Agile approach, you can utilize all of these different Discipline Agile frameworks, but Discipline Agile is focused on people and the teams and how these teams interact, how to achieve their own way of working, not to act from the prescriptive approach and from direct and control approach. Definitely not. So we need to look at the teams as the single unit, trying to understand their own way of working. So this is the approach. So Ivan?
Yep, I'm here.
Yes. I'm there.
Thank you for this.
Welcome.
Oh wait, I'm in front of you. Let me just move so we can see you. Cool. Thank you for the talk. How did you like it? Can you hear me? Wait, we just have some. I don't know if we can hear you. Maybe just put Miroslav on. Just a second, Miroslav. We have some lagging. Yeah. Now,
Okay.
Let's try it now. Can you hear me?
It's rather barking than lagging.
Yeah, I can hear you have some dogs there. Yeah,
Not
but
mine.
that's okay. Thank you. Let's start with the question. So actually, this is, I think, my first time I'm hearing this topic from you. And it's rather interesting how disciplined Agile connected. And the thing that I liked the most was actually in your topic, and you talked about it. So basically the freedom to use different things, and the freedom to just see how we can put some pieces together and make something that is to us the best possible solution. When you talk to companies and when you teach them this stuff and when you try to implement this stuff to different organizations, how do they react to this, and how do they implement these kind of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, whenever you start with organizations and organizational transformation, you actually need to start from the top down, and when you are implementing, you need to do it simultaneously, top down and bottom up. It's kind of tricky, definitely, and of course you need to start everything with some assessment. This DA Flex flow, the DA Flex framework, within the discipline Agile that I mentioned, offers this exact kind of approach. Starting with this several, not just presentations, but workshops, and starting with some assessment with which we'll be able, to understand, someone's bottlenecks and the troubles and issues with the flow itself. So it's so simple to apply tool with which we are understanding from the company itself where the issues are. And using this toolbox from within the discipline Agile, we're able, to apply some of these approaches, some of these suggestions to try to improve this way of working. And how to do that? Of course, when we recognize these bottlenecks and troubles and everything else, we are supposed to prioritize them. Similar approach to all of the Agile approaches is, and also this goes with the implementing the organizational transformation. So starting with understanding the issues, building the backlog, prioritizing, and using the discipline Agile toolkit to start working on implementing that. This is the approach, actually, in short.
Yeah, and what was the most difficult thing for you to pass along to the organization? So there are a lot of things that discipline Agile covers, as you mentioned. So when you talk to people, what is the hardest thing for you to pass to them, to explain to them? Because if we look at Agile, it covers culture, mindset, techniques, frameworks, tools, all kinds of things. And disciplined Agile, as I now listen from you, covers a lot of that. So to you, what is the most difficult part to pass along and to
explain to them and to start with?
Yeah.
How to say? A lot of things are there in the list, but at the very top of the list is definitely how to explain to them and how to face them with the fact that they need to change. And all of them need to change. Not only because when you're entering the organization, you will definitely start with some of these approaches, some of these sentences. We are great. We from the business, we are writing excellent requirements and everything. But then from the IT, from delivery, they suck. So, and the vice versa, we from the IT, etc., etc. So we need to be able to to communicate in a good way. We need to adjust our way of communication to the different levels of these participants, and to convey the information that all of them need to change.
Yeah, that is rather tough. I know. When we work together, and each time I participated in with other Agile coaches when talking with companies towards their Agile transformation. The challenging part is to explain them that we cannot just change the team, one team or several teams. We need to change both bottom up and top down. So in order to really feel the change and to really make some success out of it. So I do understand you, and I totally agree. Okay, Miroslav, I would really like to thank you for joining us, and hopefully we will see each other soon on some coffee. And it was really nice to hear your talk. We will definitely talk more about this once we get together, and I do invite people to connect with Miroslav and ask anything that they would like. He is a really great person and has a lot to share with you. Thank you once again, Miroslav, and I don't know if you want to add something.
No, just thank you for having me, and yeah, that's all. And you are more than welcome, to ask me anything, even the offline. So after this presentation, so we can link over the LinkedIn, and and two of us definitely we need to go coffee. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.